Good afternoon. It is January 25th, 2022, and really today was a range day. Let's see. I didn't draw the overnight highs and lows, but it looks like this. So let's see. Is the midline? Yeah, it looks like that midline held prices. So really, it was just a range day. But another very large range. So that's about 125 points. I'm going to delete that. It looked like we had this yellow channel in the morning down because the midline looks valid to me. And then we have this break over here, and we couldn't quite make a new low. I tried to find measured moves, but the only way that works is like this. And I don't know. I've seen it worked like this before, but then how do we account for this spike up, And so I'm not really sure what to say about that. It looks like we did hit that target, but then we just started trending higher shortly after the open. So let's take a look. You had to be patient this morning, or at least the way I was seeing it. And there's got to be something wrong with my chart because this like 174 tick bar. There's got to be something wrong, but anyway. 5 o'clock came in right about here. We get a correction, and if this made a new high, I would go short there on a second entry short, but unfortunately it didn't. And then we just start going sideways, and there's just nothing in there. You might go in here, but then you're going long when the bias is down. So that's kind of aggressive, but that looks like a pretty good setup. It's just hard to say whether that is the lows or not, so there's that. And then, I don't know what's going on here. But then you can see more congestion. We pull back to the EMA, get a bearish bar, but that's just an inside bar, and it looks like it's going into the midline of what would be this range. And then we start trending down. This is a nice little move down, but first entry failed, second entry long. You're going into the lows and you're far from the EMA. So I don't like that. Then we start working up. And this is just too far from the EMA for me. And the bias is still down at this point. Here we're chopping sideways. But why did I like this? This is a failed second entry short. And we're now making higher lows. So, there are reasons to take that. It looks like it might be off of a short-term trend channel as well. There are reasons to be considering that. That looks like a midline, but that's congestion, so it's a tough call right there. That would have been a really great move if you did take it. We come down here. We don't quite make it to these lows before we bounce up, and we don't make it to the highs. And then we make this channel down. You get a first entry, failed second entry long, but it doesn't set up on the side of the EMA that we want it to set up on. And I was seeing that as the first break of this yellow channel. You get an overshoot that leads to a break. That's a second entry short, but your signal bar is no good, unfortunately. And then we're just chopping around. You can see we come back up here, and we break high into this range. So, we break this channel up, and we make a move to a new high right here. So I'm expecting a move to a new low from this yellow channel. And so when we have a break and a move to a new high right here, that's a lower high than this. Which might be a channel in itself. I like that failed second entry long. I think that's a great setup. And this does look like a channel to me. But we're not going to keep looking at that. There's just so many short-term channels. And really, overall, this looks like a range. But yeah, you can see this failed second entry long. It's also a breakout pullback. First entry, second entry, and you get a lower high right here off the trend channel too. So I like both of those entries. And we come down here and look how far from the EMA you are. And we've been going on both sides of the EMA. So when we get this bullish higher low, I like that as an aggressive entry. personally. And that gives us a nice move up. Then we have this leg down. We go into congestion and we bounce. Get a break of this channel up, and you get a matching high very far from the EMA. And then we get the matching high and a very bearish signal bar. I like that. I really like that. And, you know, if you're expecting the new high, this is just a matching high. So you get a first entry, second entry. Only problem is we didn't make a new low. But that bar is so bullish that I just had to mark that at least aggressive. So, yeah, that ends up making a new high. And this looks like a failed breakout. So you might consider that. But that's super aggressive. I probably shouldn't even mark that. But it does look like a failed breakout, kind of. And then we come up, we make a second leg up before it reverses, and you don't really get a good setup here. You get this first, second entry short, but this is looking congestive. But that's such a bearish bar. It's tempting. And we haven't gotten a new low. We had formed this yellow channel, and we haven't made a new low yet, so I like that. That's what ends up happening. So you have a first failed second entry long right here, but that's so congestive and it's far from the trend channel, so I don't like that. Then we come here, and I guess I didn't have this blue channel drawn yet. Yeah, I don't think there's really a way to know about this larger blue channel yet. So we get a break of this channel, and I'm expecting a new low. So when we get a first entry, second entry short, it's also a first failed second entry long. I like that. It's congestive, but I like it. And after the fact, because it's congestion, I'm going to have to mark that green. And then we bounce. That was good enough for a scalp, but then we bounce. And this is a second entry long right here, but you're going into the highs. And that's a tough call. But it's such a bullish bar. And that forms a spike in channel. You see we get an overshoot that leads to a break eventually. And then we get this. I looked at this low, and this low is kind of like a double bottom. So when we get this first entry, failed second entry short, there's room to the highs. The buying was just coming in like crazy. What's this down here? 307. Just like that. That's a 40-point move up. So there's clearly some buying coming in, so I like that move. This yellow spike in channel. This is all too far from the EMA. We come and we're waiting for second entry, and that doesn't come. And unfortunately, first entry, second entry, this doesn't tick lower. If this ticked lower and finished the bullish bar, I would mark that as a blue trade because that looks like a very nice way to trap some shorts. Again, too far from the EMA up here. Gets congestive. This second entry doesn't set up well. We don't get a high or low right here, unfortunately. Just too far. You can see it bounce off the midline. We get an overshoot that leads to a break. So when you get that overshoot, I mean, that's like almost a 100-point move up. So it's so hard to go short at that point. But if you see that that's the matching highs from the overnight, you very well might take this first failed second entry long, especially after you see the overshoot of this yellow channel. You know, I think after the fact, I marked this second entry, but with the overshoot, that's in no man's land, and with that being matching highs with the overnight, I don't think you can take that. So I think I'm going to mark this one. I feel like I should mark it red, but I'm going to go ahead and mark it green. That's a failure. This lower high looks pretty good too. Once you see those are matching overnight highs. Form some congestion. And then we get a break of this channel down. A leg of correction. You get a first entry, failed second entry long. And even though that looks congestive, I think at this point it's pretty clear we're trying to make a new low. So there's enough room to these lows to scalp out. And that brings us to 12:30. So you get this first entry, second entry, and that looks like that's confirmation of this channel. Really, this was probably confirmation, but you know, the signal bar doesn't set up too well. Then you get this lower high, and that's good enough for a scalp. And then you get a first, second entry, but that's doji, and it just looks too congested. That's all I saw. I'm trying to go quick, man. I don't like making these videos every day. I like it because I know it helps me get better, but it just takes some time. I took 3 trades, I think, today, and unfortunately, I didn't like the first 2 that I took. Look at that. I went long where I should have probably considered going short. We did break up into this congestion, and I was expecting a new high. So when we get this, that's like a second entry long. This didn't even break lower, so I really don't like that. Oh, okay. I was going long above this signal bar. But why was that? I guess I was looking at it as a first entry, second entry, a higher low. But I don't think you should be doing that unless it's a higher low off the trend line. So that was too eager. I probably just didn't see the whole context too well either. This one, so I went long above this. Okay, so that's like I'm looking at this as the bottom of congestion, first entry, second entry, and that's just a poor read, but luckily I got filled, or my targets hit there. And then this one, I do like this one. So this higher low just to ride back to the EMA, and unfortunately I didn't have my ATM strategy on, but that's what I saw for today. So I took 1 good trade. The other 2 were not good. You can see we're selling off now. But I hope everyone had a good day. I'll be back tomorrow.